Liza Mundy, Code Girls, The Untold Story of the American Women Codebreakers of World War II. In Code Girls, The Untold Story of the American Women Codebreakers of World War II, author Liza Mundy unveils the hidden stories of women who played pivotal roles in breaking codes during the war. These women worked tirelessly and skillfully to decipher enemy messages, contributing to crucial military successes and shortening the war. The book provides an in-depth look at the complex world of cryptography, the challenges faced by these code girls, and the impact of their work on the outcome of the war. This summary will walk you through the fascinating lives of these female codebreakers, their accomplishments, and the role of sexism in shaping their post-war lives.
Decoding cryptography's history. The art of cryptography has been intertwined with human communication throughout history. Its use in warfare dates back centuries, with each era developing new codemaking and codebreaking tools. American codebreaking efforts faced challenges in the 1920s. However, women played a significant role, known for their intense focus and patience. Covert message systems comprise codes and ciphers, with the latter growing increasingly complex throughout the years. As technology advanced, so did the methods of code breaking, employing ingenious tactics and mathematical mastery. From the earliest days of human communication, people have relied on cryptography to protect their secrets. The technique has been indispensable during wars. Even the Civil War saw the Confederates develop a highly sophisticated cryptographic system. However, the situation in the United States was quite different in the 1920s, as the nation lagged behind others like France and England in code-breaking expertise. Yet, some American thinkers realized the value of these skills and believed that women were the perfect candidates for cryptanalysis. This belief was grounded in the assumption that women possessed more patience and focus than their male counterparts, while overlooking that exceptional code-breaking demanded both intelligence and patience. To truly grasp cryptography's evolution, one must understand covert message systems, which mainly include codes and ciphers. Codes employ words, letters, or numbers to represent specific phrases or words, often using a codebook to decipher them. Ciphers, conversely, involve transpositions or substitutions of letters or units. The Renaissance period saw the invention of complex ciphers like the Vigenère square, which used a table composed of multiple alphabets. With the advent of radio and the telegraph, governments required enhanced security measures. As a result, cipher machines and intricate mathematical ciphers were devised. Code breaking, or cryptanalysis, entailed various ingenious tactics such as stealing codebooks or analyzing word frequencies and placements. As both technology and human intellect advanced, the eternal battle between codemakers and codebreakers persisted, becoming increasingly sophisticated and intricate with each passing era. Trailblazing female codebreakers. In 1916, Elizabeth Smith joined Riverbank Laboratories in Illinois, owned by eccentric millionaire George Fabian, to prove that Sir Francis Bacon was the true author of William Shakespeare's works. However, soon Riverbank became the U.S. government's first code-breaking bureau. During World War I, Elizabeth and her husband William Friedman were placed in charge of the operation. After the war, both were hired by the Army in Washington, with Elizabeth earning half of her husband's $3,000 salary. She garnered media attention for her work in identifying criminals during Prohibition, setting a precedent for female codebreakers. Another noteworthy female codebreaker was Agnes Meyer Driscoll, a former math teacher who spent the 1920s and 1930s deciphering Japanese codes and ciphers in the Navy's cryptanalytic office. Driscoll cracked a new Japanese fleet code in less than a year, giving America vital intelligence about Japanese communications during World War II. However, the Japanese changed their code in early 1941, shortly before a notorious attack. Unsung heroines of World War II. The United States, caught by surprise in the 1941 Pearl Harbor attack, realized that they desperately needed to strengthen their military intelligence. It was a time when the Navy was on the lookout for patriotic recruits with a penchant for foreign languages, science, and math, both from prestigious colleges and lesser-known Southern ones, with a focus on bringing in talented women, such as Agnes Meyer Driscoll. These women were encouraged to join the Navy as part of the WWII, Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Service, or the Army as Women's Army Corps, WAC, members, and trained in cryptanalysis. By the end of World War II, an estimated 11,000 female code breakers made up more than 80% of the Navy's and 70% of the Army's domestic cryptanalyst personnel. The attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 left the United States in shock and highlighted the need for better military intelligence. The U.S. Navy had already been searching for potential recruits for its cryptanalyst office, focusing not just on talented men from prestigious institutions but also on women with strong backgrounds in foreign languages, science, and math. These women were asked highly specific questions like whether they had fiancés, as the idea was to hire attractive women who would marry and leave the Navy after the war ended. Anne White, a senior at Wellesley College, was one such woman who received a secret invitation for an interview. Upon qualifying, she was asked to attend a code-breaking course, and if successful, to work for the Navy as a civilian employee after graduation. It was crucial for these women to maintain secrecy about their work and avoid mentioning cryptanalysis to anyone, even their family members. The U.S. Army Signal Corps and the Navy were in competition to find the best female cryptanalysts, and the Army expanded its search to lesser-known Southern colleges. As the need for code breakers grew, the Army even assigned presentable officers to recruit school teachers from small towns. In 1942, the U.S. made the groundbreaking decision to allow women to join the military. Passionate women enlisted in the Navy's WWII program and the Army's Women's Army Corps, WAC. These women were trained extensively in code breaking, and by the end of World War II, they had become a vital part of the American military intelligence. Females constituted more than 80% of the Navy's and 70% of the Army's domestic cryptanalyst personnel, a staggering 11,000 unsung heroines who played a crucial role in the United States war efforts. G-Girls, Code Breakers Unleashed. The women code breakers, or G-Girls, in Washington, D.C. during World War II juggled their secret, intense work with a newfound freedom in their personal lives. Living in dormitories or rented apartments, they supported the war effort not only through their rigorous code-breaking work but also by writing morale-boosting letters to soldiers. For many, life in the capital offered unprecedented opportunities for travel, friendship, and romantic connections. In World War II, Washington, D.C. became home to trailblazing female code breakers, known locally as government girls or G-Girls. Oblivious to the G-Girls' secret, high-pressure work, outsiders assumed they performed menial office tasks. In truth, these women put in 7-day shifts of up to 12 hours, cracking codes and saving lives. While their work was intense, the G-Girls' lives outside the workplace blossomed with newfound freedom. They lived in various accommodations, from cramped dormitories like Arlington Farms to rented apartments or boarding with local families. In their free time, they bonded with their peers, partaking in fun activities, traveling to faraway cities, and attending parties in the capital. The war period also brought unexpected opportunities for romance. As soldiers and sailors passed through Washington, many G-Girls engaged in whirlwind love affairs with those about to serve. For some, marriage and engagement happened quickly before separation, while others sought the freedom of remaining single. An important contribution to the war effort came in the form of letters to soldiers stationed abroad. G-Girls like Braden wrote numerous morale-boosting letters, including personal portraits and heartfelt notes on the back. Engaged at the time to a soldier named George Rush, ultimately married another suitor, Jim Bruce, after the war, a union that lasted until his passing 62 years later. In the midst of historical challenge and crisis, these pioneering women defied expectations, tackling their work with determination while exploring the newfound freedom and opportunities that unfolded before them. Breaking the Purple Cipher. In World War II, the U.S. Army's civilian codebreakers, led by William Friedman, faced the challenging task of deciphering the Japanese Purple Cipher machine. Among them, Genevieve Grotjen made a breakthrough that revolutionized codebreaking and helped the Allies throughout the war. Grotjin's skilled observation and mathematical prowess allowed her to spot patterns the others had missed, cracking the purple code and enabling the Allies to intercept Japanese communications seamlessly. Alan Turing may be the most famous codebreaker of all time, but during World War II, a team of American civilian codebreakers led by William Friedman also made significant contributions to cryptanalysis. One of their most noteworthy discoveries centered around the Japanese cipher machine, Purple. Determined to crack this complex encoding device, Friedman shared his insights and methods with his team. He emphasized that even the most baffling codes could eventually be broken, as ciphering machines relied on rotors and wheels, causing patterns to repeat over time. Therefore, nothing in codebreaking was truly random. The team immersed themselves in understanding Romanized Japanese and studied various machines that could have inspired Purple's design. Friedman's team employed a technique called cribbing, which leveraged partially deciphered or guessed words as starting points to decrypt entire messages. This became particularly useful when Tokyo occasionally sent messages using both Purple and the already cracked Red system, providing valuable hints for deciphering Purple. Faced with mounting pressure, the codebreakers hypothesized that Purple used an intricate switching mechanism instead of rotors for encryption. They sought to test this theory by comparing a Purple encrypted message to a crib from a less sophisticated Japanese system to identify any repeating patterns. On September 20, 1940, Genevieve Grotjin, math prodigy and aspiring professor, approached her superior Frank Rowlett with a breakthrough. Overlooked by academia, which did not hire women at the time, and her male counterparts, Grotjin's persistence and keen observations led her to identify the repetitive pattern crucial to cracking the code. This discovery allowed the Americans to reconstruct the Purple machine without ever seeing the original design. Thanks to Grotjin's remarkable achievement, the Allies were able to intercept and comprehend Japanese communications encrypted with Purple throughout the entire war. The ingenuity of an aspiring female mathematician and a determined team of codebreakers altered the course of World War II, highlighting truly extraordinary, yet often overlooked, contributions to the field of cryptography. Cracking codes and breaking barriers. The G-Girls at Arlington Hall, a relatively egalitarian workplace, faced battles against sexism and steep challenges in codebreaking during World War II. These women, including newcomer and Cara Christie, proved their skills by successfully deciphering the seemingly impenetrable codes used by the Japanese army. These breakthroughs were instrumental in the Allied victory in the war's Pacific theater. During World War II, the determined G-Girls working at Arlington Hall tackled the immense challenge of decoding the Japanese Army's encrypted messages. Unlike the hierarchical Navy, this workplace offered equality and an opportunity for even newcomers to lead vital teams. And Cara Christie, a 23-year-old with an English degree, was quickly recognized for her engineering talents and promoted to head a research unit by her supervisor, Wilma Berryman. Together, Annie and Wilma embarked on the daunting task of cracking the Japanese Army's codes, which had stumped countless others. They discovered that deciphering message addresses could lead them to break the encryption. As they cross-referenced Japanese naval radio circuits with previously decoded naval messages, they unearthed a crucial piece of the puzzle. Anne's exceptional code-breaking prowess allowed her to reconstruct an entire codebook, leading to major breakthroughs. In April 1943, Arlington Hall cracked the Japanese water transport system code, known as 2468, providing valuable intel on enemy shipping activities. This accomplishment cascaded into the decoding of several other crucial codes, including Japanese aviation and casualty figures. In order to handle the massive influx of deciphered messages, Arlington Hall enlisted new recruits to form a mail sorting assembly line. Through efficiently decoded information, the Allies managed to sink 43 Japanese ships and damage 22 others in just November of 1943. By disrupting enemy supply lines, the relentless efforts of these code-breaking women played a pivotal role in the Allies' triumph in the Pacific. Decoding victory, Enigma and D-Day. The vital role of the Code Girls in cracking Japanese ciphers extended beyond the Pacific, contributing to the success of the D-Day invasion. In 1943, WWII's members were sent to Sugar Camp in Dayton, Ohio, where they constructed over 100 bomb machines to decipher messages from the sophisticated German Enigma ciphering machine. This intelligence, alongside information from the Japanese Foreign Office's Purple Machine, guided the Allies' decision to land in Normandy. To ensure the element of surprise, Operation Bodyguard was initiated, which involved the Code Girls using their talents to create misleading messages about the location of the invasion. This elaborate deception ultimately saved thousands of Allied lives during the historic landing on June 6, 1944. Code Girls and War's End. The Code Girls took immense pride in sinking Japanese ships during World War II, but the horrors of war weighed heavily on their minds. They often received news of American casualties and danger faced by their loved ones on the battlefront, leaving them feeling helpless. When Japan finally signaled its intention to surrender, the Code Girls were among the first to know. This thrilling moment filled Arlington Hall with joy, and it wasn't long before President Truman made the official announcement that the long, brutal war had come to an end. During World War II, the Code Girls showed great dedication to their work, instrumental in sinking enemy ships. Although they took pride in their contributions, the grim realities of war were not lost on them. Many had family members and friends serving on the front lines, and reading about the atrocities of the war made their emotional burden heavier. One such example is Fran Steen, a naval recruit who rose to lieutenant. Fran was on duty when her team intercepted a message about a Japanese attack on her brother Eggle's ship. Despite the warning, nothing could prevent the enemy assault. Nevertheless, fate was on Eggle's side, as he managed to survive and eventually reconnect with his sister. The Code Girls' responsibilities also put them at the forefront of knowing when the war was drawing to a close. Following Japan's refusal to surrender in 1945, the U.S. unleashed atomic devastation upon Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Within days, Arlington Hall translators received a message they had long awaited: Japan's willingness to surrender. Translators like Virginia Adderholt, who had spent years in Japan, observed Japanese conversations indicating their readiness to seek peace through neutral Switzerland. On August 14, 1945, Virginia deciphered the code announcing Japan's intention to surrender. The news spread like wildfire within the confines of Arlington Hall, and the Code Girls eagerly anticipated President Truman's official declaration of the end of the war later that evening. The war had come to an end, and the Code Girls could finally breathe a collective sigh of relief. Their dedication and sacrifice were about to bear fruit, as they had played a crucial role in bringing about a much-desired peace. Unveiling the Code Girls. After World War II, the contributions of over 10,000 female code breakers remained classified for decades, affecting their post-war lives significantly. Some had opportunities to work for the National Security Agency, while others faced challenges in getting further education due to the secrecy of their job. Despite the gradual lifting of classification, only a few of these extraordinary women are alive today to share their stories, emphasizing the importance of preserving and recognizing this inspiring part of American history. A crucial yet concealed chapter of World War II history is the story of more than 10,000 female code breakers from Arlington Hall, whose remarkable efforts saved thousands of American lives and hastened the war's end. Despite their significant achievements, their endeavors remained top secret, buried under classified information for over 70 years. These brilliant women were eventually relieved of their positions, and many faced challenges during their post-war years. In the early years of the Cold War, some of them stayed on as code breakers, with a select few taking up positions at the newly established National Security Agency, NSA. Among them was Ankara Christie, the first woman to serve as the NSA's deputy director. However, not all the Code Girls were as fortunate. Others who tried transitioning to careers outside of government service encountered various obstacles. The secrecy surrounding their wartime roles denied many of them the educational opportunities promised under the GI Bill. Elizabeth Bigelow, a former Waves recruit, was rejected by 3 architecture schools, all reserving spots for veterans of the armed forces. Unable to divulge her actual contributions to the war effort, she finally chose to marry and start a family. Even as classification restrictions eased in the 21st century, many of these women kept their secrets closely guarded, making it difficult to share their experiences with family members. By 2017, only a handful remained alive to recount their incredible stories. Documenting and recognizing these hidden heroines has become vital, not just as a tribute to their collective and individual accomplishments, but also as an inspiration for future generations of American women.
The heroic efforts of the Code Girls during World War II were instrumental in determining the course of the war and ultimately contributing to the Allied victory. These women shattered stereotypes and expectations, exhibiting patience, intelligence, and talent in cracking enemy codes. However, their significant contributions went largely unrecognized for decades, as they were sworn to secrecy and faced various obstacles in their post-war lives. Liza Mundy's Code Girls serves as a long-overdue tribute to their invaluable work, perseverance, and commitment, providing a vital insight into an inspiring chapter in the history of American women.